Welcome to the Academy of Adoption and Assisted Reproduction Attorneys. We are covering the state of Kansas today, and I have two great fellows with the Academy that I'd like to introduce you to. And we'll start with Martin. How about you first?
Hello, good morning. Martin Bauer from Wichita, Kansas. I'm with the firm of Martin Pringle in Wichita. I've been practicing law since 1975. I'm a former president of the American Academy, or now the Academy of Adoption and Reproductive Technology. Attorneys, I got involved in first adoptions because I did lots of large trials and I kept getting hired to handle contested adoptions. From that, I said, if I have to do the bad stuff, I would like to do the good stuff, and became very active in the adoption practice. I currently author the chapter on adoptions for the Kansas Bar Association, along with Megan Mansour and Amanda Marino, my associate. And I got into, I love this area because it is family building. We do adoptions, guardianships, child in need of care, and this was a nice extension of moving into the area of gestational carrier work. Great.
Well, trial lawyers, I understand that need to migrate and do a little something to balance your life, right? Yes. All right. And Joanna, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Joanna Beck Wilkinson. I am a Quad A attorney licensed in Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois. My practice is limited to adoption and collaborative reproduction, so I don't practice any other kinds of law. I've been doing this for going on 15 years, and I do practice with my mom, whose name is Mary Beck. And so we are a family law firm in more than one way. I practice in this area of the law because I love children and families, so much, in fact, that I have 4 of my own children, and they are all little boys.
And they are cute, I can tell you that. Yeah. All right, I am your moderator. I am not licensed in the state of Kansas. So let's have the two of you explain to the public. People are looking at multiple states. They're going through the Academy website. They stop on Kansas. Is Kansas a friendly state for assisted reproduction technology?
Yes, Kansas is a very friendly state. We are very careful to make a distinction between surrogacy and gestational carrier, although the word surrogacy is used as kind of an umbrella for both. In Kansas, there's a very significant legal difference. We do not have a specific statute on gestational carrier or surrogacy arrangements, but we use an old version of the Uniform Parentage Act, and that act has actually served us very well. And out of that, we've actually had some very favorable case law decisions from our appellate courts that have reinforced that they will be recognized, that the laws will be the contracts will be enforced, and that has made it work very well.
Great. So Joanna, from a perspective of different communities of people, so the LGBT community or single intended parents, is there anything they should be concerned about or know about before they utilize the state of Kansas?
So in the absence of a specific provision in Kansas statutory law addressing collaborative reproduction and surrogacy, we do have a number of different legal avenues for helping single parents or same-sex parents. But because we don't have that specific statute, it's a really good idea to hire an attorney who has a lot of experience in both adoption and assisted reproduction, so that parents who may have an untraditional scenario can learn about all of the different options that are available to them.
All right, so Martin, I know one of the things that people they're chronically wanting to know right out of the gate is just, what does that parentage process look like? What kind of steps do they have to go through in Kansas?
You have to have an agreement that before there can be a transfer. And under that process, typically you're going to be working with a fertility clinic. And that clinic will typically require a certain amount of screening and counseling. So to me, the first steps are in addition to the matching process, counseling and getting that contract in place. Under the Quad A's ethics guidelines, there must be separate attorneys for both the intended parents and the carrier, or the carrier and her spouse. So that piece has to be there. It is not as clear or required that there be separate counsel for the other stages. I generally describe it as kind of 3 stages. That is the contract phase, and we bill for that separately, because if the transfer is not successful beyond 3 months, we don't want anyone having to pay any money. And then anytime after the 3 months, we have what we call the second phase. And that is what in Kansas, we can obtain a pre-birth order that declares that the genetic parents are the parents of the child, not the carrier or the carrier's husband, which then overcomes any presumption of paternity or maternity. If one of the intended parents is not genetically related to the child, there would then have to be a third phase, which would be an adoption. That adoption in Kansas is very convenient now, because you've got all the parties to the contract are agreeing in advance to sign the necessary waivers or consents, and we can now finalize the adoption within days of the birth of the child, and no ICPC is involved. So
wonderful. So you talk about that within days, the efficiency there. Joanna, what is the efficiency of the birth certificate process in Kansas? Everybody always wants to know that, right?
Yeah,
They wanna know
yeah, that's the golden
quickly.
ticket. Yeah, and I can tell you, I am involved in collaborative reproductions in Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois. And Kansas, the Bureau of Vital Records wins the gold star.
Oh.
They are very accommodating and very fast. I think that the last time that I submitted a court order to Kansas, they got me the birth certificate for the child. I want to say it was about a week after birth, which is not only is that faster than the other states in which I work, but it's noteworthy. Some states can take up to 30 weeks for a birth certificate, but Kansas, a week or less, maybe 2. I would say they're more accommodating than other bureaus that I've worked with.
And I would supplement that. If both of the intended parents are genetically related to the child, the order can be entered that triggers an immediate and automatic amendment to the birth certificate, changing it to the intended parent's name without any court proceeding, without any delay, and they can pick them up directly. They do not have to involve a lawyer unless there are complications. COVID has made it a little unique occasionally.
Isn't that the exception
I don't
to
want to
every
say
question?
yeah, I don't want to make it sound like it's just going to happen, because COVID every once in a while rears its head on office closings and delays.
So do your birth certificates say amended on them once that happens?
I do not believe they do.
Oh, okay.
We've had a new administrator take over the office. The past president of the Bureaus of Vital Statistics for all of the country was from Kansas, and she was wonderful, presented at one of her conferences. The new person has changed things. So I always take a deep breath and say, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, I remember that presentation. It was great. Maybe the Academy should start doing awards to vital records offices that are,
Yeah.
right? Probably everybody that's listening is going, yes, please. All right. Well, thank you. Is there anything else you two feel like we need to cover? We're not doing a deep dive into Kansas, obviously, but anything extra you want to add before we close out for the public?
I think because of the diversity, one thing that is important is a follow-up to something that Joanna mentioned, and that is Kansas will recognize same-sex marriages, and that's true with respect to orders for intended parents. The difficulty is there still needs to be a genetic relationship. So you might still need that adoption process and separate. We do not recognize the same, if they're not genetically related and they're a couple, whether heterosexual or same sex. However, there are selected judges in the state who will recognize long-term relationships and still allow for that second parent adoption, is what they call them. But those are very specific judges in very limited counties, but you can waive jurisdiction and go to those counties.
Okay, that's really good information. Anything else, Joanna?
I think it's a good idea in all states that don't have a specific statute, and especially in Kansas, to hire an attorney who has a background and experience in family building law. And the Academy is a great place to find one.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree.
Wonderful. Well, that's a good moment for me to jump right in and let everybody know that if they want to get a hold of either of you or take a look at any of the other states and get additional information from the Academy, you can go to our website. We have a map on that website. You can go state by state, choose the state of Kansas. You'll get the contact information for these fellows. And that website is www.adoptionart.org. And we look forward to you joining us, obtaining their information. Please get a hold of either Martin or Joanna. They're happy to talk to you about the state of Kansas. Thank you, you two.